Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth with 217 Creations, and I'm here today to share with you how I made my 3D paper sunflowers that you see on this layout. They're really easy and they're absolutely gorgeous in person. So let's go ahead and get started. Just to give you an idea on these flowers, we're going to cut 3 sizes from Walk in My Garden. And it's an older Cricut cartridge, but it's a good one. So I went ahead and cut these. Now I laid the cuts out on my Gypsy, and on the Cricut Gypsy you have the ability to hide cuts that you don't want to see, and you also have the ability to do kind of like a technique that I call hanging off the mat, and it's where you place the image on the Gypsy screen. So like for instance, this cut has a really long stem. It actually hangs off, and because it hangs off the 12 by 12 mat on the file, you only get the cut of the flower. You will not end up with the cut of the stem. It's a huge paper saver, especially if you want this, and if the cartridge does not offer this as a layer. That's my kind of workaround. I have another YouTube video called Creating False Layers with Gypsy, and that's how I do it. It's really easy because I have a lot of favorite cartridges, especially some of the older ones, and sometimes they don't always have all the layers that I want to make things dimensional. So that's my trick there. So we're going to start with our 3 cuts. And I like to use a variety of papers. So in this one you can kind of see I've got a textured kind of creamy yellow. I've got a pearlescent from Coordinations from the Gemstones. And then I've got kind of a vintage yellow here. And this is also from Coordinations. It's one of those the core ones that have a solid color in the back you can sand off. So I start with them like this. And then from there, what I like to do, and I'm going to move this to the side so we can see how I do this, I use my McGill pad. Some people will use a mouse pad, but this just worked better for me. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see nice and close how I'm going to do this. Now the center, we haven't talked about that yet, the center is actually cut the star shape, and it's from the one I used is from Flower Shop, one of the new Cricut cartridges, but as you can see this is a pretty generic shape. I'm sure you could find something very similar if not identical on many Cricut cartridges, but Flower Shop nonetheless is an awesome cartridge. So if you're hemming and hawing on that one, it's definitely one to get. So let's do this. This one is an example of what we're going to do right now before I start putting the center in. So I take my cuts, and using these ball styluses from McGill, I kind of just follow the cut around, and this gives the petals some dimension, breaks down the paper a little bit. And you don't have to do a ton of it. You can see I'm just kind of going across the edges. There's not a perfect way that has to be done. I know some people have used pen caps to do this, but the McGill Punch Art collection for their flowers is a fabulous tool set in order to make 3-dimensional flowers. So I'm going to do that, and now we're going to ink it. So I like Distress inks, they're my favorite, and this one I'm going to use is Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to take a sponge and just brush the petals. I'm going to go fast. I'm not going to make sure this is like absolutely perfect, because I'm sure you don't want to sit here through the whole thing watching me do every little bitty detail. So once you go ahead and have those inked, we're going to stack the flowers. Now I always like to stack my petals offset from each other. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but see how they're kind of staggered? It gives a lot better shape and movement to the flower. So always offset your petals when you're layering. So once you attach those together, you'll get to this stage. And this is the fun part. I basically am going to take all these small pieces and insert them. Now the nice thing about this cut from Walk in the Garden, it has a slice through it, which sometimes you can hide that on the Gypsy or on Cricut Design Studio or Cricut Craft Room. But I left it because to me that was a guide to how far I've got to fill out, and it allowed me to keep a shape as I was building. So it's pretty easy from this point on. I just take my star shape and kind of cup it. These are so tiny, I hope you can see this. And then what I do is I dip it in some adhesive. Now I let my adhesive sit out for just a few minutes before I start working with it, because it will allow it to start getting tacky, so then you don't have super wet adhesive. And what you're going to do is just come in and push it in. And that's why I love these stylus. Let me zoom a little bit more so you can kind of see this process. I hope that doesn't get too blurry. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, good. That's nice and focused. I don't want you to be watching the camera trying to focus constantly. So I'm going to dip. And you just need a teeny bit on the back. Because the fact of the matter is that as you stack these flowers, they're going to kind of hold each other in a sort of a strange little way, because these little pieces kind of interlock with each other as you build it. So you don't need a ton of adhesive. And you're just going to sit here and do this. And I know it looks tedious, and it is somewhat, but as you can see from the layout that I did, it has a really neat effect. I think this would be beautiful like on an easel card, a sunflower like this. I made a large one for a pennant that I sent in to Cricut for a contest for the Cricut Circle, and it's, you know, because we had to do our state, and so I'm from Kansas and we're the sunflower state, so I went ahead and did a giant one of these that was about 10 inches. And just sit here and keep cupping, and then dip, and then press. And basically you're going to keep doing that. Kind of come down a little bit here. You're going to do that until you fill in all the way around this circle. And your final result, I'm going to zoom back out now, sorry about the bump, is like this. And they're absolutely gorgeous, and they look really, really beautiful in person. So I hope that you like this tutorial. I hope it's a new approach to flower making for you. I would love to see any results that you have from using my video. You can always message me, email me, or stop by my blog at www.217creations.com and just drop me a note, and I would love to see it. I always like to see everybody else's interpretation. So once again, thank you so much as always for comment, subscribing, and following, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.